Morning, everyone. I'm absolutely incredulous, although not shocked, by the level of intellectual dishonesty that the left has over this DACA issue. Now, to me, it's not a huge issue, but the lies that they're saying about the president have to be spoken up against. When you see an injustice and a falsehood being spread just for political purposes, it's shocking, it's heart-wrenching, and it's wrong. Now, when President Obama made this program, which was always intended to be temporary, it's just a band-aid until Congress got their act together. No less of a left-wing institution than Saturday Night Live called him out on being unconstitutional and wrong. I posted on my Facebook page, goes on my Twitter page as well. If I wasn't so lazy, I'd put the link probably in the description here, but they don't need any more views. You can find it yourself. Just search SNL Schoolhouse Rock. It should be the first thing that comes up. Where you have, I'm Just a Bill on Capitol Hill. People know the old Schoolhouse Rock cartoon. And Keenan Williams, he's up there playing the bill and he's singing, and Obama comes and pushes him down the stairs, and then there's, I'm an executive order, I just am, and that's it. And there's and then the executive order is like, yeah, presidents make executive orders all the time. What are you gonna do? Create a national park? Declare some holiday? He's like, no, I'm giving legal status to, close to 1 million illegal aliens. Like, what? Really? And everyone's shocked, and then the bill comes back up again. He's like, the courts are going to find this unconstitutional, and then Obama pushes him down again. And I'm amazed it's still up there, and not only that, but there had been no comments on it for a few years. This should go viral right now in light of what's going on, this particular video. But there's much more to it. Just everyone is making it like Trump is kicking these people out. That's the exact opposite of what he's doing. And then the governor here, who is a disgrace, he has to get up and he's like, and make it a racial issue and all, and they just say outright lies about what this is about. But the fact of the matter is, we could point out in that Saturday Night Live sketch, these are coming to the courts. In fact, some folks are even saying the deferment that President Trump gave for 6 months could still be knocked down in court. And if the courts, knock this down, these folks are out of here immediately. There's no 6 months deferral. There's no time to appease to Congress to fix it. It's just over. Now, the thing is that as far as I can see, most of the establishment Republicans want to keep this now how it is now. Meaning, I would even go as far as to say is that what President Obama did at the time, even if it was illegal, But since it was a temporary thing, it might have been the right thing to do. I think, I think of this from a rabbinical standpoint. If I just say this simply, people aren't going to understand what I say. But if I try to explain it too much, it might be too difficult to hear. So let's try to explain this. There's a concept that in the Bible, a prophet cannot change the law of God permanently, but occasionally, for a pressing situation, may do so temporarily. And we base this on the book of 2 Kings, where Elijah brings a sacrifice on Mount Carmel in order to demonstrate to the people the falsehood of the prophets of Baal. And what would be the issue there? Most people reading the Bible wouldn't see this as much of an issue, except when you look all throughout, we see time and time again in the book of Kings, once the temple was built, we see it again in Chronicles, that various kings, even if they're righteous, are often criticized for not removing the high places. It's interesting, those are called bummers, so it kind of sounds like Obama. I remember I was Rav in Richmond, so there was one of probably the only Frum family there that I could think of, long time Frum family there, who lived there for a long time, who no one in the family was a rabbi, and no one in the family was a Ger Tzedek. It's not for now. Anyway, so I remember the Rav from the other shul, he said something like this. He said, this family, they're so kosher, they're so righteous, because most of the born Jews there were not frum, unless they're rabbis. That's their job, But the wife was a big Democrat, so they had a sign out on their lawn for Obama. So they said, "Rak Obama lo ysolku." Like the kings of Judea, most of them did not remove the bumos. So whatever. Anyway, what I'm saying here is that there was a prohibition once Solomon's temple was built. We have what we call Isser Bamos, and it's derived from Deuteronomy, that there's a prohibition to offer sacrifices outside the temple. Some people ask about, we have Minhag Kapparos, and the Minhag Kapparos is not a sacrifice, because specifically we use the chicken, which was an animal that was not allowed to be used as a sacrifice. And so you could use any animal that would not be kosher for a sacrifice, or you could use money or other things. One of our Rav, one of his grandchildren asked him if he could use a credit card. It's a minhag anyway, it's not a law, but the main thing is not to use something like a dove or a pigeon or a goat or a sheep or a cow, which is a little bit harder, although holding it over your head is probably not the main thing. The main thing is to give to charity, and also you could fulfill the mitzvah of slaughter and fulfill the mitzvah of kisui adam. There's other inyanim involved with it as well. Something I'm nervous about this year, because I have to be in the Bronx at 10:30, and usually where I go for Kapporas, I don't know if I could go this year there or where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna figure it out. All right, it's gonna be okay. Baruch Shalom Fiert the Welt. So that being said, anyway, the point what I'm saying here is that, however, even though there's a Isser Bamos, there's a prohibition against these private altars, there is a permission for a prophet to do something temporarily in an extreme case. And I would say perhaps only for a temporary, meaning a one-time thing like this, like the so Elijah needs to make the point against the prophets of Baal, so he offers the sacrifice outside of the temple. And I would venture to say it's a similar thing what President Obama did, that for a temporary stopgap measure, what he did was perhaps appropriate, even if it was against the letter of the law. And there's a time and a place, but a common person cannot do that. But I would say there is a certain executive power, and he may have been justified as long as he didn't establish it, which he didn't. Since he did not establish it as law, it was a temporary measure. But people don't realize that. People are like, "Oh, what is President Trump doing?" Well, he's just putting an end to a temporary measure because the Congress should have taken care of this on their own, and they need someone to put their feet to the fire to take care of it. But even President Trump said that if they don't, by the end of 6 months, he will revisit the issue, meaning he's not going to kick anybody out, or he'll at least, go through, make sure that all the provisions that President Obama said are being met, meaning that people are not criminals and things like that, which is part of the provisions, and perhaps give Congress another 6 months, but it shouldn't take that long for Congress to take care of it. Everyone's saying, "Oh, Congress, they're not going to act that quickly." Well, they should, because first of all, I don't think there's a majority in Congress who doesn't want this to continue in some form, meaning most likely all the Democrats want it. And I think there's a significant amount of Republicans who would be willing to work. First of all, the thing is, those same Republicans probably don't like President Trump, but maybe to show bipartisanship or something. But also the fact is that, like it's been discussed, that this could be used as a bargaining chip. I've already seen some people on the left who are at least intellectually honest enough to understand what the real implications are here, and how but the thing is why? First of all, it used to be that the Democrats were against illegal immigration because the unions are a major thing with the Democrats, and the union workers were very upset about it. What's going on now? Why are the Democrats supporting illegal immigration? And the only answer I have, I made another video about this, and I know this might offend some people, and I don't mean that the average person who votes Democrat feels this way, or even every Democratic legislator or politician necessarily has this view, but there are certain latent tendencies that people don't realize. First of all, the Democrats tend to put people into boxes, tend to put labels on people, whereas the Republicans tend to look at the individual. I mean, all of these things really go back to the roots of the Democratic Party historically and the roots of the Republican Party historically. So the Democratic Party historically, even though everyone thinks the Democrats are for civil rights, they were the opponents of civil rights. They were the party of Jim Crow and of slavery and of the KKK. And they're like, oh, but it changed, and now they're the opposite. But is it really so? Because essentially, all right, you don't have a tremendous amount of slavery in America. There still is some, and most of it is linked to illegal immigration, but not all. Obviously, all of that is illegal and totally abhorrent, and nobody wants that to continue. But then we go a little further and just think about people who are working off the books, illegal immigrants working off the books, working for very low pay, and that's what the Democrats are supporting, essentially, meaning it's the closest thing they can get to slavery, basically. It's similarly to how, they used to lynch African Americans as adults, and now they lynch them from the womb, and that's why they support Planned Parenthood. It's really essentially, Faggy is, they don't go to Monroe. So, all right, we'll go to the new development. What about, does this girl over here go to Monroe?
Don't think so.
So that's essentially, what's going on here? Is this a Monroe bus? No. That's essentially, that's what the what the whole issue is. That it's it's really the old latent Democrat lines, which are racist, being repackaged in a way that makes people look sympathetic and loving. When it's just the opposite. And really, that's how historically, there has been these trends in slavery. We have this idea, and the Jewish tradition says that the Hebrews were fooled into their slavery, in those days.
Those girls over there, those shiny, those with glass.
All the way over there,
Yeah.
in front, they go with you to Monroe?
Yes.
All right. Okay, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. God bless. All the best.